So welcome to episode 2 of Critical Misfits. I know. So before we begin, I want to thank a bunch of people. So first of all, Ben Robbins and the Microscope RPG. Thank you. It's been a blast. As of it's been a blast. We're continuing with this journey. It's been fantastic. I'd like to thank everyone on our Patreon who is generously making sure that we can continue this. And I'd also like to thank all the folks at the Table of Ultimate Gaming. They can be found at ultimategametable.com. This table that we are playing at, that you really are only seeing a fraction of, is just the best thing ever. It was completely worth the wait. It was a Kickstarter, and I guess they're doing amazingly well. And so thank you guys. You deserve all the success that you're getting. And what else? By the time you guys view this, we're going to have probably both episodes 1 and 2 out. We haven't really decided yet, but we may be splitting sessions up into 1 and 2 episodes just to make it a little more, easy for folks to watch. So anyway, welcome. Does anybody have anything to say before we begin? Because I'm excited.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep after, okay. You didn't sleep less than I did, but we had a lot of fun just chatting about this last time. No, it was like you told me I couldn't sleep.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. I had a hard time sleeping after last night because I was just like.
I was super excited, and I made my friend come out and have a drink with me because I was like, I'm not going to bed. I need to talk about this.
I don't explain this. I did that with some people too. They were just like, yeah. They're like, cool. And I'm like, no, you understand.
Yeah, no, I actually also got similar reactions. Mm-hmm. We're doing an RPG podcast. What are you doing? I'm like, well, we're world building first. And they said, what? We're really? And then I told them about the process, and they were really sort of cocking their head to the side in interesting. They were completely interested. So I am way over caffeinated right now.
On that
note, I'm gonna chug some of my coffee.
Yeah. By the way, we have some coffee back there if you want to add to the mix.
You can snag one of those cheat beers.
So I printed out some cheat sheets.
Balance my upper. That's fair.
I printed out some cheat sheets for all y'all.
Okay.
And really, a lot of the things that mentioned scenes we're really not using, but the thing that we're going to be using more than anything else is the overview of play. And so you guys can check that out as you see fit. We also need a kind of a miniature to say who's going to be the lens. And I'm really not attached to who's the lens and who's not the lens. I kind of feel like we should roll random.
Cool.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, why not? Also, I just want to throw some damn dice in this game.
Yeah. Well, then you can throw this roll.
Cool.
Let's see, we got 1, 2.
Release the
First
dragon.
dice. First dice.
6 of us?
6 of us. Yeah. So just get a 6-sided.
Also, do we have the board, or did that get?
Will, go ahead and roll that.
You threw the first die.
I did. I was thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's me. Okay, sure. I'm gonna guess. Did we have the board from last time, or did that get wiped?
It's right. What's written is
we
right
have
here.
it, but I wrote it down already.
Cool.
So
Excellent.
we've got the big picture.
Yeah, let's do a quick recap.
Sure, yeah, big picture. Symbiotic energy shapes the rise and fall of life worldwide. All of the yeses. You want to read the yeses?
Yeah, sure.
I'm glad you didn't say no, because that would just be not thematic at all.
It's on the right list.
Yeah.
Yeses. Dwarves that rule the sky with griffins.
So excited.
Access to the dead. Fallen Lich. Nothic NPC. Did I say that right?
Nothic.
Yeah. My bad. Warnings due to triggering content. GM players flip. Freedom for players to GM. So we're going to switch GMs, right? Mm-hmm. Libraries are always neutral. Sacrosanct. And have the GMs back. So make sure you're supporting your GM, guys.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, now not just
Shanna.
me. Anybody who's GM. And Shanna, would you like to? What?
Sorry, what's your name again?
Sorry.
Would you like to read the notes, please?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
My brain just cracks.
Dragonborn PCs, other material planes, teleportation, rape as entertainment, graphic detail, no week's worth of battles.
dragon or dinosaur.
Yep.
Cool. Lens. That's
So, Will, we've decided that you're the lens through the roll, right?
yes.
So
Got the dragon
what
power.
you are going to be doing now as the lens is you're going to declare the focus. So
Me.
what that is you're going to be declaring the part of history you're going to explore. We are all going to explore right now. Okay. Each player takes a turn creating either a period or an event. The lens goes first, then go around the table to the left. What you create must relate to the current focus. The lens can choose to create two things on their turn, by the way, so long as they are nested inside of each other. Either a new event plus, so we're not doing scene, so it would be like a new period plus an event. Let's pick the Dwarven nation that this is just this example. The Dwarven nation that found symbiosis with the Griffons. That could be that you could choose that as a focus, or you could choose a specific leader inside of those dwarves as a focus. That's basically what you're doing right now.
Cool. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I do want to focus on that. Especially in the email banter that we had over the last week, I like that everybody was kind of identifying a level of excitement with that. Whether there's player characters or other things that come out of it, I think that is something that happens right at the beginning. Really important for us to kind of flesh out some more about that. I want to know more story about that. That's definitely going to inform what's happening down the line where we're going to play. Right. So let's do this. I'm focusing on
I love how canon this
the
is becoming.
the first Dwarven. I don't want to focus on a person, perhaps, although I think it will come out of this round. But I want to focus on the specific kingdom of dwarves, because I imagine there's others, but the specific ones that took to the skies. I want to focus on that clan of dwarves that first that is connected with the Griffons.
Okay, so now so you've chosen that as your focus. So now you're going to invent either a period or a scene directly related to that. And this is the Will show. You're in the hot seat, spotlight. We can ask questions to clarify, but we cannot contribute.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna make a. So I guess we could make a scene, although we're ignoring scenes as down the line.
Yeah.
For this area, we can create a scene within that.
And the game itself, with scenes taken into account, they recommend that you create resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
But through a friend that has done exactly what we've done, played out scenes inside of D&D, he recommends that you don't actually create resolutions, that you leave it open-ended so that you're basically creating threads to play in.
Yeah, I like that. I also like there's a level of we can still look back at this almost as in an incomplete history, right? So that we can fill in those gaps down the line ourselves, or we find that, hey, perhaps this event didn't go down the way that we've been told, historically speaking. And then, things to play with. Plus, I see eventually our listeners perhaps being able to kick in some of their own world-building elements. Mm-hmm. Perhaps if you get a high enough tier. All right, so...
Here, Will, just hand it to me.
I want to get more caffeine.
I'll get it for you. Thanks. You have a job to do.
Oh, God.
You have one job.
So I am imagining that one of the things why this is such an important event that has really shaped the world in its own right is that there was something that was taking over the skies beforehand. And the rise of the alliance between and symbiotic relationship between the Griffons and Dwarves really shifted it back towards maybe freedom of transport, or at least taking out this negative influence that had ruled the skies before. So I actually want to create a period that's happening immediately after the start, or maybe not immediately, but sometime after our start period and between the magical golden age that comes up. We're getting these vertically.
Yeah, periods are column.
I'll make sure that this doesn't bleed through.
We know what I love is that just what you said. You said it doesn't have to be directly after. That's why I love the open-endedness where you could put the period between the start period and the next magical golden age period, but anyone can feel free to insert other periods in between those, and I just love that. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I realize because it is so flexible. Periods can be this big, whatever. All right, so I feel like I need to be a little more specific in terms of perhaps what. Well, maybe not. I'm gonna leave it kind of open ended, because then I think we can define it in the events down the line. But
well, do me a favor and say it out loud.
so what I'm imagining. So what I'm imagining so far is I'm trying to create the wording for this period, which is going to be the alliance between the Griffons and the Dwarves begins clearing out the. I'm gonna go evil. I'm gonna go real hard on this. The evil elements that have controlled the sky and threatened the population.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of a way, and I know not
Are these
suggestions, but
are these evil elements? Where are these evil elements from? This world, another plane of existence.
I think we can explore that through the events, perhaps, or we can talk about this.
Well, I'm asking you.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play with, actually, yeah, I like that other plane of existence. So something that is, I do like adding some sort of more supernatural, demonic elements into the world, perhaps. And, yeah, I don't know, maybe there's been an interesting sort of demon army that has ruled the skies up until this point. The Griffons and the Dwarves, pushed back that tide.
But not of the world?
No, they're from a different plane. No, but not a material plane, right? They're from more of an abyssal plane or something along those lines. But
did the Dwarves
and Griffons lead a campaign, a long campaign to cleanse the skies of demonic forces.
Interesting.
Yeah?
What was that period called?
The Great Cleansing. Purification.
Okay.
I don't know. Wait, that might be correct.
It's just scary. That
well,
phrasing is scary.
demon armies.
No,
I'm totally open to making this
just
far more PC if I say things stupidly. So help me out here. Talking about
But
I'm
demons.
just
we can't
imagining
help you
the
out.
cloud level of Mario.
We can play on some
Demons
cool
are just
stuff here.
little guys throwing hammers at you from a cloud.
Yeah. Yes. Turtles
Turtles
in the
with hammers.
clouds.
So we've
Did you
got
send this to
Blue
everybody?
Yoshi that can
You did?
fly,
I
except
just think
Blue
it's great
Yoshi's a
so
griffin.
So everybody gets.
You stole my heart.
The whole point
Oh,
is to
man.
not do group thing, but to
Now I want to
Yeah.
make
Should I-
a
should I-
character that's named Yoshi and play a griffin.
Oh,
Did
hell yeah.
Did
Wouldn't that be
everybody
awesome?
did everybody read the text that I sent you about you build on each other but don't collaborate? Like those
Yeah, that's
two
why I
things?
was trying to not say anything.
Yeah, and that's why I was trying not to ask for help, but it's like, oh, I really want.
I know, totally. Did you read it?
I read it, and that's why I was trying to ask a question, but without being leading. But I don't
Yeah.
know if I did that.
Totally.
I was keeping that in mind, though.
So what I've got is Griffons and Dwarves lead a campaign to purify the skies of the demon armies that plague the land. I know it's skies and land, maybe not all of, maybe not the land. Of demon armies. I'm trying to get the idea that they're fucking with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible wording though. Purify the skies of the demon armies that plague the land.
Would you call it
Well,
the
I
Great
mean, it's
Cleansing
the-
or the Great? What did you call it?
We're
Great
talking about the
purification.
Great
airspace
purification.
Over the land.
borders.
you're
I was
also
trying to get
talking
at.
about-
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Are you,
Because they're harrowing everybody, and I'm seeing it as kind of a dark time.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it's been real shitty. Civilization hasn't had a chance to grow into the Great Golden Age because of.
Right.
I mean, anybody that started doing something cool.
we're at the
demons started taking
age
them
of
out.
man has passed.
So because you're the focus, you get to create either well,
I could do a nested event, is what you're saying,
Yes.
or something
Yes.
else.
well, because we're not doing scenes, I think your only other option, and by option I mean you have to do this, is to create an event inside of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, can't we create events as long as they're related to the dwarves, right? So can the events be in other periods as long as they're...
You may be right.
I think it was nested. From
You
what
may be
you
right. I
originally
think
said.
it was nested. The lens can choose to create two things on her turn, so long as they are nested inside each other. So.
I can choose. I don't have
you
to.
can choose. You don't have to. Yeah, got it.
Do you have an image what I want to follow through on, or let other people do things though first? It does come back around to the lines if I remember right.
Yeah,
so,
you get a turn
yeah.
at the end too.
So yeah, I'm gonna leave this open then to everybody, and then I'll get if it comes back around to me if the thing. I don't want to direct it too much. I don't
Little
want
group
people-
inspiration.
Yeah, I don't want to direct it too much.
Okay. So now we go to Ashley.
Okay.
Surprise!
You
Now,
have the dragon.
just remember that you have to
No, he keeps the
have
dragon
it
'cause
pertinent
he's
to the
not
focus.
his
Otherwise,
Oh.
It's a dinosaur, guys.
Everybody
Okay,
hates
so
dragons.
It is a
we're
flight.
he's picked the focus, and that's the
It's
flight
It's a
list.
Lizard.
flightless bird.
for this round,
For
yes.
this round.
Penguin
It's
of,
just
the
like
dra-
a-
of the
We're not
dragons.
gonna
It's just like
There
a
you go.
really badass looking Mushu.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it.
So what the game urges us to do is to talk about. So you have the floor. Talk about like what you want to do, the period or the event that you want to do, and then write your thing down.
Okay. So I'm thinking I would like to focus on the sort of moment and method of communion, like how the mycelium facilitates, because that's what, if I want to clarify, that's what it's doing, right? The mycelium is part of this combining of Griffons.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Absolutely.
We've
So-
made some vague
Yeah.
something. So yeah.
They've
So-
used the
I
It'd
magic.
be too convenient if they wasn't.
So I'm trying to think what that would look like.
Well, griffins are magical creatures, right? Or are they
Yeah,
not?
and maybe there was like no communication between them, and the mycelium becomes this like mediator, because they are like, they're the largest life form and they can communicate across
Ooh.
like vast
Yeah.
like distances.
Do you mean like in a, sorry, this is a question, I'm not trying to
Yeah,
lead. Do you mean
that's
like in a mycelium expands their mind type way, or do you mean like they actually use mycelium consistently to like communicate between each other?
I think the latter.
Who instigates?
Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this would be like, then you'd have to decide if the dwarves and griffins are stumblers,
Ooh.
seekers. Yeah, like figuring out
Maybe
who
one or the
has
other.
the agency, who's the initiator. So that's where I'm at. I don't know exactly what I want to do with that.
Well, I mean, this could play into that question of what if they're seekers or stumblers or whatnot, because this specifically kind of goes with that too. I think that just kind of sets them up to be more seekers, in my opinion. This event seems, but I don't know.
Okay,
We're
so you're saying,
focusing-
And so
yeah.
be careful right now because we're now
getting away from-
dangerously getting close to collaborating.
Right. I'm not trying to
So-
collaborate. I'm just trying to say like
You're saying
like,
if we've already established this,
Yeah, I
that
think-
should lead. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
that's all I was trying to say.
Actually,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a good point because the game frequently warns you like don't contradict yourself. Like don't like if you've got one thing in the game, make sure that you honor that by putting it into another, even if it's destroying that thing. Even if it's finding a way to like whatever genocide or volcano exploding or whatever.
Casual
Doesn't matter.
genocide,
Yeah.
no big deal.
So, like, we're talking about it coming together, but it's like at this point, maybe just like think about it for a second, like feel what
Yeah.
feels right, and then just say it.
Yeah, and I don't think that this necessarily precludes the idea of dwarves being stumblers.
No,
As,
definitely
like the
not.
elves coming into it as like we want in on this. I could see that, but I don't see the dwarves as like I don't see the dwarves as initiating it, like because that just doesn't make sense. Like maybe being like
Did the dwarves have access to the skies before the griffins?
I would say no. I would say like there's probably even an aversion, even if there was an opportunity.
I also have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the level of sentient intelligence of the Griffons?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the mycelium.
No,
That
of the
is-
Griffons.
That's a big question, but the Griffons. That's a good.
I think that leads pretty heavily to how they
And I asked that because traditionally in D&D they're probably not really that intelligent, and so but you have creative.
So, as an
I don't know.
expansion to your question, there could be some kind of something, both going on. The mycelium maybe expands, like toxoplasmosis or something, takes over the Griffin's brains and kind of like opens them up and makes them like
cordyceps.
smarter.
Makes them friendly to dwarves.
Are we allowed to say we like that idea or not?
Not really.
Okay.
but it's okay.
I definitely
I've been nodding.
dislike
Yeah.
the liking of the idea.
That makes
You
no
dislike
sense.
the
I definitely do not dislike the liking of the idea.
What you can do
What can I do?
is later on down the road you can alter and evolve that idea into something different
Okay.
through the passage of time, both back in time or forwards in time. So
Okay.
that you can do.
I also have a question for you, Ashley, which is, what constitutes as the sky? What is the sky? What is the stratosphere? Like, is it mountaintop to clouds? Is it clouds and beyond? Like, I want to know what sky means.
Space
We have to-
Griffons.
We have to think about like, oxygen intake and stuff, right? Like, we
Okay.
have to
No,
think about,
not
like-
necessarily. It's our world. Like,
Yeah. We can.
Well,
Right.
mycelium, we can use
Physics still has to
mycelium for
happen.
anything. Like,
We
it
just
expands
figure
their
it.
lungs.
gives you
A
like
little
ability
yeah.
to breathe in
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Physics.
I do like that
Oh
idea.
my God.
That it allows your, that mycelium, like, has...
Sorry, I just had that was fucking. I'm sorry, I just had an awesome reaction to that. That was-
Yeah,
I definitely
yeah.
do not dislike the liking of that.
So diplomatic. Crack this code.
Well, I'm trying to also make it confusing, so I'm not confirming.
Got it.
I like...
I'm confused.
I like the idea
Perfect.
of them both, like it both being a stumbling, that maybe was like the mycelium maybe has the most agency in this, and the Griffons like expanding their brains, and the dwarves maybe couldn't go like up to higher elevations because of their lung capacity, and expanded their lung capacity, and so. But I'm still trying to find the moment, like the.
Did
Am I-
the mycelium identify a need for the dwarves and the griffins to come together?
No, they're just like, that'd be cool. That'd be fun.
No, I'm just saying, I'm throwing out there as a
Shits and
potential
gigs.
path to follow. If you're thinking about, you're saying it had agency already, like.
Well, if it has an agenda against the things in the sky, maybe.
Ooh.
So.
Space demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like it's who
On the
facilitated this union? Like either we've got Griffins, Dwarves, Mycelia. So who facilitated and the why, right? Like what was the agenda of the facilitator?
Right.
Are you creating a period or an event?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think an event. I
Sounds
think an
eventy.
Yeah. So I'm thinking there could be some kind of agenda. Maybe leave it relatively open, but that the mycelia, maybe on some other plane. Though, are we allowed to have that be like part of a backstory?
Planes of existence, yes. Other
Not
worlds,
material
no.
planes. Okay.
Unless we get there through space.
Maybe they're battling these demons on some other plane,
no
and they have, and
teleportation.
the demons maybe get some kind of like resources from like reigning over this space, and they want to.
This might come back around.
That would be a good front to beat them on. I don't know. That might be a little stretching it a little bit much. So what I'm gonna confine it to is the mycelium. The mycelia have an agenda to defeat the darkness currently ruling the skies, and brings together griffins by expanding their minds and dwarves by expanding their lung capacity. Is that too specific?
No, I mean
Sounds
you
good.
get to say if that's too specific or not.
No, yeah, I
we
think
we
that-
actually don't get to say that's too specific or not.
All right.
Can we ask if?
Yeah.
Oh, events are.
Can we?
are this way.
You know what I like about? So okay, so it's like, if the mycelia did that, it's like implying it doesn't need to be part of what you're writing, but it's like, and stop me if this is like something I'm not allowed to do. But it's like kind of implying that the mycelia have an agenda and used tools that they saw could
Chess pieces.
chess pieces
Yeah.
that were going to solve this problem for themselves, like
Yes.
as mycelia.
Could be.
Yes. That's,
Am
and
I allowed
I'm
to say that?
Well-
fine with that. Like, yeah, that level of like the
It just reached a little bit.
motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But it also implies like they kind of have like a knowing beyond maybe what the dwarves and the griffins know of themselves
Yeah.
and their
Yeah.
nature,
yeah.
right? That's
Yeah, I'm not super attached to this. I'm just like, this would be an interesting thing too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
the,
and
the,
you-
the demons are not of the mycelia.
And to cleanse.
we're
skies.
walking with some interesting language here with purity, purify.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be all like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the
Uh,
demons, it's different.
Dwarf sky clerics. Just just kidding.
I'm just starting to feel bad for the demons. Like, who are these demons? Where'd they come from?
I know, right?
Why do we all hate them?
I know. I just read a book. I've been reading a book that Will told me about that's making me think about bad guys in a whole different light. So I'm just like, why are they bad? Are we sure?
Are we sure?
Do we need to cleanse them?
Good, evil?
Yeah.
Of evil.
They have the righteous side.
Evil. Plague of demons. Let's just say that. And I don't know if I want to put choose, so I'm just going to say bring together, because then we can leave it open as to how that happens. Bring together Griffons, is there an O-N at the end of that? Ian?
There's also I-N. I found there's literally three different spellings. So
we did Griffons. And I'm sure we're going to have so many listeners be like, you're spelling that.
Actually, I checked it today in the monster manual. It's exactly like that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there is like multiple spellings in like existence, but I think that is the D&D.
Well, I think I did EN on mine. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely fired.
Great.
Tonight,
fix it, you're right
oh.
There we go. Now it's just like you circled it.
I'm making sure everyone sees your mistake.
Well, now it's a ligature, so it's Griffons.
Mistake.
Can I have a red actually Sharpie so I can circle it? No, I'm just kidding.
I actually do have that.
I know, it's right there. I was just messing.
Teacher.
Okay.
It's just a picture of a naked lady.
And where is that
After all that.
Let me see if I got this all, guys. And
boobs.
So that's going...
Yeah.
I mean, it really doesn't have to be an order of events, I think,
Well,
underneath
it's up
the
to
period,
you.
right?
Sorry.
It'd have to be.
It is in this.
Right in there,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Before? Okay.
That works for me. Is this a light or dark event?
All this purification and like talk makes me think it's
Well, the thing like the
somewhere-
event itself.
Yeah, the event itself. Okay.
Like certainly leading to the great
I could
purification.
see both sides of the color.
Yeah.
We can call it whatever we want later. There's no naming.
Man, I have my
necessarily.
best
already
and I'm
been
like,
A little dark.
I know what I want it to be, but I'm like,
We
where
can-
that you and go, I can do something. Nope, throw that out the window.
Actually, I mean, we could call that whole thing the Great DP, Demon Purification, just to be real clear. This is just leading up to the Great DP. No?
Okay.
BDP.
When the
If
Griffons and
you
the
need
Dwarves get together, it's just all DP. For demons.
Oh, I have this system.
So, I want to focus on... essentially, like the focus as you declared is the clan of dwarves that were, I don't want to say responsible, but basically were involved in becoming allies with the Griffons through the connection with the mycelium, right? So...
Their trials and tribulations.
Yeah, so...
Who these dwarfs be?
Yeah, I forgot to specify specific clan of dwarves.
I mean, we can come up with the names and things later-ish. I do like their coat of arms being like a little like stylized griffin and a little dwarf like fist pounding. Right, like the ye olde, like the griffin standard.
I see.
Maybe they used to like.
So what I want to talk about is the dwarves sort of declaring themselves out of the proverbial dark ages and into a time of great coming together, and inside of that a building of a civilization the likes of which nobody, especially within Dwarvenkind, has ever seen. So what I'm thinking is that the clan that you wanted to focus on, I'm going to give them a name. I haven't come up with it yet. But
don't tease me.
the clan is going to declare a king inside of that whole mess. But just because they've kind of like integrated inside of the mycelium and like gotten this weird connection now to the Griffins through them, it doesn't mean that they're still, I guess, I don't know, a little bit on the barbaric side, on the reactionary side, a little less civilized than they would like to think that they are. So there were several clans that actually came together to dispute this one clan's right to rule. And when all was said and done, none of those kings were chosen, and instead a queen was chosen. Because she found a way to bring people together instead of squabbling. So this queen was named as the queen of the dwarves, and she declares that clans will be used no more. They will now declare houses, and houses are created, and she awards the first, let's say, the first 5 houses in the Dwarven Empire? Maybe. I don't know. Dwarven country, Dwarven Empire, Dwarven whatever. And so that is this event that's getting created inside of what you created. The Griffins and Dwarves lead a campaign to purify the skies. She realizes that there's I mean, I guess all the dwarves realize that there's not going to be any progress on that front unless they all unite, unless they all have a united front. Question.
Is it in the sky or on the land?
The sky.
Okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I
if he's making the event here, then they've already met the Griffins here.
Sorry, I got like really like East Coast on you. You fucking kidding me? Sky.
It's cool. Bring it.
Yeah.
So the Griffins are not going to be creating a with one particular clan.
You just gave me an idea. Yeah.
I
You didn't have to. It just
you hit
Should
that
we drink
spark.
every time Bill gasps?
Yep.
So does that erase the Griffins and like a communing with a particular clan of dwarves? Does that mean that like? Does that make sense?
No, it does not. It does not get rid of that.
Because this is also like
Because
down
one-
the line too. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
one happens, and then the other thing happens. So let me start.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna start writing this out a little bit.
Can I talk about my thing that I want to change? That I just had this idea that like
Sure.
I'm kind of dubious about having like the mycelium necessarily have this agency like of approaching like forcing this union, and I was thinking maybe dwarves and griffins are like enemies, or at least this particular clan, and the Griffins are like slowly eradicating this race of dwarves and like picking them off, and nobody will help them. So
Dwarf
this like
meat.
one dwarf like this like I don't know, I'm sure it'll be female, like goes and like begs or seeks out the mycelium, and like they have this maybe like pact, like okay, well if I do this, if I create this like relationship for you, you have to use that. You have to like scourge the skies.
I see that as a particular like scene that you can add into that. Like I think that's I
agree,
don't think
yeah.
that precludes that. I think you can just add a scene into that.
Yeah,
later.
it sounds like just next
that's true,
round.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's pretend like we didn't hear anything.
So write
Yeah,
it down.
what? Write it down.
Write it down, or something, or something along those
Yeah.
lines. At
Well,
least to
some
remind
other
yourself.
stuff might come up. Oh, I already did.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm saying
I'll remember
that
it.
I'm saying that this is a light I'm saying that this is a light period. The event's going right here, and so the event is the chosen dwarf clan sees fit to unite the other clans and choose a king. Squabbling ensues until the Griffins themselves choose a queen. Queen Lilyhammer declares 5 clans as royal houses to provide direction towards their enemies in the sky. That's that.
I'm gonna have to read that again.
Here.
Okay.
Alright, Connor.
And Connor.
Crap.
Were you not ready?
No. I mean, sort of, maybe. I don't know.
I think everybody feels the same when it first comes to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bear with it.
Yep.
I have 2 separate ones depending on what Connor does.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
At all.
That might have been the wrong thing to say.
Jesus.
No pressure, Connor.
Is Lilyhammer a dwarf?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
queen. Queen of the dwarfs. Is she bearded? That's important.
Yes. I don't know. That's leading.
I didn't
I'm
write it
hoping
down.
that she's going to be. I'm hoping she's going to be related to, or maybe the person who. Oh, you weren't listening.
Dwarfs are pretty old.
No, I was
Just
I
throwing
was
that out
I was
there.
doing my
Dwarfs
own
can
thing,
get
but
fucking old.
This is true.
Let's remember that in our
Oh, wow.
timelines. Dwarfs can be pretty old.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of years. So
Word.
that kind of
Yeah.
plays into what we're doing right now.
What does direction mean? To provide direction towards their enemies in the sky.
my idea was that the dwarves as a single clan with a bunch of other clans not really following anybody, they were their own sort of like entities, could not deal with the demonic plague in the sky as well as they could united. So that direction is a united front, essentially.
A single pebble cannot block the river. We must come together.
So deep.
Beavers.
I mean, yeah, dwarven beavers.
Dwarven beavers.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I do feel like within this, you got to think about the clans that are supporting the clan that is riding Griffons.
So you're supposing not all the clans are riding Griffons,
I think we.
or have some relationship with Griffons in some way.
There may be griffins.
Like that, I'm curious because we haven't talked about. We've talked about the chosen, but what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, do they all have relationships with Griffons? But like what does that mean? What is that like? Griffin. Like who's interacting with Griffons more or less, and like what are they doing with them? Why are they chosen?
I like the idea that the Griffins chose a queen. And it was the Griffins agency, though.
Cool.
Like, are you saying like the Griffins backed Lilyhammer, or like, I'm asking what you
But-
mean by that. Sorry.
I mean, this sentence literally says,
Yeah.
until the Griffins chose a queen, Queen Lilyhammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's already done.
You can say you like it now, right?
Even if you say, yeah, I fucking can't stand that. I don't care. It's there.
Yeah.
Publish.
Canon.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't like it, kill Queen Lilyhammer for all I care. I don't know.
Ooh,
Do what you need to do.
a challenge.
Attached on scene. No, and then a scene. And then she was immediately deposed by such and such.
Yeah.
Oh damn. Sorry.
So,
Don't kill her.
I will do what I want on my turn.
That's really pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, we can narrow this shit down. We can get down to like a crazy scene.
Oh man, no.
The fact that
I just
you,
realized how
that
you, like, a way to move around.
impassioned
Yeah.
the impassioned cry of "Don't kill her" means we kind of have to.
I wish this had a bunch of talking.
I mean,
in it.
everybody dies. Or do they?
But not everyone really lives.
But not my
I liked that. I don't know. Is that a Cthulhu?
Everyone
So-
lives on in the mycelium.
Talk
Yes.
about your thoughts.
No.
We're not going to
Looks
really
like it.
yeah.
no leading, but like talk about your thoughts.
Why do you not think so?
So I'm
Flipping
thinking
in front of different angles.
about...
Rotate your mug towards us.
It's a predator tiki mug. Yes.
No, it's Cthulhu.
Oh,
See?
it is
Ah!
You win this round.
Sorry.
I'm thinking about Queen Lilyhammer's, maybe like granddaughter. So there's been this legacy of the Griffins choosing the queen, and then her granddaughter becomes kind of a scholar of how this actually happens, and
Drink.
forget about that.
I just want to let you guys know that Fisher is creating a dwarven alphabet in the next room.
Creating one?
Cool.
Yes.
Based on Griffins.
How do I say thank you in Dwarvish?
Boredom is so good.
You don't. There is no thanks in Griffin. Everything's assumed
It's
you
more like a
should
fuck
do.
you.
That's
Like
great. You don't.
every time somebody does something, you're just like, fuck you.
Got it. How do you say fuck you in Dwarvish?
He's not there yet.
Okay.
I'm only up to the A's. I'm just doing every time you take a sip.
It's like try to say something.
I like dwarves saying thank you,
Just
like
funny all the time.
something to the
That's
degree
true.
of
Can't drink.
as it is.
As it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like as the rock is, like as it is.
Right.
Yeah. I kind of like it in their culture. Like there is no thanks. It's just like you should just do the right thing or do the thing. Right?
Or
There's
like stone struck deep or something, you know, like
I do really want their terminology
Well struck.
to maintain a sort of like earth-based rock dwarven like nature, but they're like, but you're in the skies now. And they're like,
No.
it's-
Yeah.
we're just above the earth. It's fine.
they have to have like adornments of earth, right? You know, like
Throwback.
Are you saying they always had to have a part of the earth with them?
yeah,
The
something
sky
like that.
always pulls us towards the earth. Obviously, the earth is greater.
Poor Griffons.
What are we doing, Connor?
Hit us with your best shot.
She's not going to explore the connection between the Griffins and the Dwarves, but she's actually going to endow the first Dwarven Elvish Scholarly College to find the gate where these demons are coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
Fascinating.
that.
Yeah.
They've only been
Fun.
stymieing the tide.
Yeah.
She realized that they need to take this to the next level. I like it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can't wait until my turn.
So I'm gonna while Connor's writing, I'm gonna give you a little spoiler alert about what your job is after you take your turn,
Okay.
and that is to choose a legacy. What is a legacy?
What's a legacy?
Okay, so it says after all players have addressed the focus, we take a step back and examine legacies, elements of the history we want to remember to explore later on. So,
That relates to my.
so
go
choose
on.
choose a new legacy.
Okay.
The player to the right of the lens, which is you, picks something from play during this last focus and makes it a legacy. And then explore a legacy. The same player creates an event or dictated scene, which we're not doing scenes, they're just an event, that relates to one of the legacies, either the one just created or one already in play. So in this case, no legacies have been created, so you would have to relate it to your own.
Okay.
Okay?
So I choose something that someone has thrown out there.
Right, inside of what we've created,
And-
inside of the focus.
I think
And what
this is a light
constitutes
event.
as a legacy again?
Okay, can you read it out loud what you wrote?
Yeah.
I'll
sorry.
get to that.
Okay.
But this was the spoiler.
Okay.
So.
Got it.
Queen Lilyhammer's granddaughter, Queen Rosax, endows the first Dwarven Elven College to research where the Demon Gate is located to bring an end to the war.
She's so smart.
So I'm not sure if I still haven't decided where exactly I'm going to set this event, like if I'm going to put it before this one or after this one, but I'm thinking after. So upon the demise of the Griffin's roost atop Mount Frosthelm, Queen Lilyhammer and Aroch, the Griffin Lord, band their people together to create Skyhelm, a fortified city nestled in the spire of Mount Frosthelm, where the Griffins and the Dwarves live in harmony and fight back against the Scourge in the sky. So, I mean, that's kind of like
Awesome.
coming together, just like a
dark or
really...
light.
I'm going to put light because they're coming together to build this, like, protective city for themselves.
Cool.
And I'm kind of picturing it like it's connected into the mountain and outside of the top of the mountain. So the dwarfs are doing their, like, tunneling inside, and they're also, like, creating, like, space where the griffins can, like, be protected atop and still have their, like, outside roosts, too. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because before, like, I'm picturing, like, griffins being really exposed to the demons and stuff before, just in their, like, nests and stuff, and the dwarfs kind of came and were like, no, we're going to make you, like, cool caves, and it'll be connected to our, like, halls, and it'll be awesome.
I'm assuming the demise happens because of the demons. The demise of the.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I didn't. Upon the it's because of the Scourge. That I kind of was seeing that as like the Griffins' motivation to be joining into this union is because they're also getting fucked with, because they're in the sky already. So these demons are fucking them up. You know.
And I like the idea of it maybe being an awkward union for a while. It takes a while for them to like get into this
To get a
arranged marriage.
copacetic, yeah. And
Sorry,
like I said,
shit.
I feel like
Well, you
these
already
two
put it
almost are happening simultaneously. Like the
That's
queen
fine.
makes a deal with the Griffins, and then they help her like raise her up to be queen, and then they build a city together. Like, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I love the evolution of that. That's great. And I love the conflict that the Griffins themselves are having. It sounds like It sounds like I don't know if it's because of mycelium, or if it was, or if they were already pretty intelligent as creatures, and the mycelium maybe like enhanced their cognitive intelligence. But like, I'm seeing the Griffons as very much like another race.
Yeah,
of,
totally.
you
And
know,
I can
people
it
or
can even be like the
whatever.
mycelium made them that way. Maybe the
Yeah.
mycelium is the one who made them like realize, hey, if you band with the dwarfs, you can stop getting like taken out by these demons, like with their expanding their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which we put in already. But yeah, that's just like little semantic details.
But you just gave me an idea.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
all you.
If it was
Okay.
could be a playable race.
Gotta figure out how to write this out. But
Also, I put helm in there a lot. We can change names of things if
Do you
we
want
need
a
to.
period or an event?
I would like an event, please. Okay,
Better
so
be good, Hannah.
I think it's good. It makes me really excited.
That's all that matters.
All right,
Yeah.
so we are nearing, and tell me if I'm getting this wrong, and I need to like not. It's about dwarves, and that's the focus, and it's about what we've been talking about. Okay, it is towards the end of the Cold War, and it's like a very, very bleak time. There's a lot of death, a lot of loss, a lot of silence, a lot of emptiness, because there's a lot of like severance from the mycelia itself. A lot of people are, like, there's like an identity crisis worldwide, but there are these pockets of power still fighting.
That by the way, I'm just saying that an identity crisis worldwide.
Yeah,
That's powerful. It like hit me hard.
there's like a lot of emptiness.
I'm saying.
I
I know.
So
Sorry.
You
imagine,
said a phrase sounded good. That's all.
banished.
Come on.
We should write that down.
but
that
imagine
phrase
this.
down.
Somebody remember that then. But imagine
Oh, we had it recorded.
that it's, and
We're
I don't.
playing in the moment, not watching the dailies.
But there's like there are these groups of roving gatherers, and they're sort of akin to people who would gather bodies after war, but instead they're gathering memories, and they're like spiritualist, like necromancers, and they are delving into levels of dead to find connection and find our story. And there's sort of this like what do you call it? Like safe zone, like people who gather bodies, but they're allowed to free roam because the war's still going on, but they're like trying to collect and fill our libraries with this like past. And so my event is one gatherer, we'll call him Merrick. He finds he finds the Lilyhammer, like deep. He just finds the story.
Finds her memories.
Yeah. Finds the beginning, and I don't quite know what that means, and I don't quite know. Maybe we could ask the questions to like figure that out, but like maybe he finds her, and there's a way to kind of create an excavation team. Like a psychic excavation team, or like a but there's this big find has happened, sort of this like big piece of our past, and maybe they don't even recognize her, maybe they don't even know, but she's found is the event.
Like her spiritual energy is found? Is
Yeah.
that what you
So
mean? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When they find her, were you saying spirit or like mental, like her mentally,
Like I
or
imagine
her thoughts or her story. Or
I
whatever.
imagine the necromancers like tap in and like use what's left of the mycelia, or like use what they can and whatever weak strings they find. And maybe this Merrick is like this like brilliant like person at doing this. Like goes deep enough, like this like savant person who like somehow taps into something far in the past.
Are you kind of playing off what you were talking about with like being able to talk to the dead through the mycelium last week?
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and so
Totally.
then my question is, how does Merrick and the others know that she is someone of relevance?
Ooh, that's really good.
Like, because you meant, and the reason why I'm asking that is you mentioned that that it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And that you also mentioned that she has maybe been forgotten.
I think so. The first thing that came to mind is, so maybe just because I just read The Shining recently, but this idea that people who shine really loudly, it's like when they like throw the shine, it's like a baseball bat hitting you in the face. You know, it's like this big find, you know, and it hurts and it can like throw you backwards and it can jar you and your like nose can start bleeding, you know? So like maybe out of nowhere, she's just like, she's there in the history of
Like
the
she's reaching
mycelia.
out to him? Is that what you mean? Or
It's just a loud death. It's a loud memory. Like it's a
Okay.
loud, it's loud running in the mycelia. Like it's like loud in the magic. Like
It's got all the
it's
feels.
got a
Needs to be heard.
strain.
Yeah.
It glows more brightly. It hurts to touch it. However we decide you delve for the dead and like what that shows you or like how you commune, it's just like it's like a big find.
Did you have a question? Because I have a question. I thought that you may have. That is a question.
Yeah, so are people, like, is this a general thing that people are doing to try and, like, this excavation, this effort at, like, trying to regain history?
Yeah, it's like everybody's been severed. Like we've come a long way from like taking it for granted, right? Am I pointing the right one?
Mm-hmm.
Like suddenly
age.
we realize, oh, this is a precious resource that isn't promised, and in fact, it's like we feel like detached from it, and it's been so symbiotic for so many of us that like we feel detached from, like what does it mean to be here at all, you know? So that's why even in the midst of this Cold War, these gatherers are like allowed to like be anywhere, like see anything, ask any questions. They have this like sort of like what am I calling, you know, it's like a get out of jail free card. Like what do you call that? Like everybody has this one alliance, and
They're
that's
basically untouchable.
untouchable. Yeah, because of the job that they do, like gathering the dead, right? It's essentially they're gathering. Everybody realizes, oh, we're gonna lose all of our history if we don't have people on this at all.
Would you? I
Right?
mean, not that it shouldn't like shine bright, but like once they excavate it and I don't know how that plays out. Like how if does the memory like I guess maybe like is it like this guy's really good at it, so he's able to like
I wanna
extrapolate it?
Actually,
Or like-
that was my question. So,
I think
my
so.
question, just leading on hers, is what happened to Merrick as a result of him finding this very loud memory? Does
What is the impact of
resonate?
it?
Like, I feel like that.
Yeah, because otherwise the
It's
scene,
more
right? We need to
specific
make it
than
out
what-
into a
but
larger
it's-
event.
No, that's not kind of thinking it seemed like a scene. Like, yeah.
Oh,
Finding
okay.
a thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the scene could lead to an event, but that's why I was asking the question about like scenes versus events. Like, what do we classify as? But if this is like
Well, I think about it
creates
as an
or leads
event
to a thing,
because I think about it as like maybe Merrick found Lilyhammer, but maybe this team can come in on it and start to learn about the history. Like I'm kind of imagining this like full circle of like we've taken this for granted at some point. We don't even know our beginnings. We have no idea like even how this came to be. We don't even think about it as magic anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And then suddenly we find the memory of the beginnings of this, and it changes everything because we realize there was a time where we were like chosen instead of we excavated this magic and we took it and it's a resource. Suddenly we realize, oh, this resource chose us. What? You know? And so like maybe a team excavates that, and then these gatherers like fill our libraries, which are like our spiritual, you know, sacrosanct places, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Sacrosanct, yeah.
Sacrosanct. So it's an event in that the beginnings were discovered. But
I think you should start writing.
okay, how do I write that?
I don't know.
It's up to you.
Okay.
I mean, literally take your time, and then we can kind of banter
Okay.
back and forth. And if you need us to be quiet, please let us know.
How would you spell Merrick?
M-E-R-R. Oh, sorry. That was your
M-E-R-R-I-C-K.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was
Fairly-
thinking too.
Fairly-
M-E-R-R-I-C-K.
It's a
I have
fairly
a quick
classic
question.
spelling
Is
of it.
Merrick a dwarf?
I don't see Merrick as a dwarf.
And leave it open.
Yeah, leave it open.
Yeah.
This leaves interesting
Because-
questions because you didn't really touch on this, but like, what happened to the dwarves? Why did
Yeah.
you forget them? What happened? Like, you know, like
Or
where,
they
where are the
gone?
Griffins? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe they haven't been forgotten, but the roots have, right? Maybe there's still just
that's
like
true.
like images of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and I do appreciate that it's still focusing on the dwarf griffin
Theme.
relationship without, but like coming at it from a completely different angle.
Yeah,
Completely
totally.
different. Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Is it enough to just say the gatherer Merrick discovers first contact?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. So the game recommends like talking it out at first, talking through your ideas, explaining them.
Just make.
But then if you need to be if you need to abbreviate on the cards, do that. You know, it's but I mean, like, I think that everyone, what they've written on the cards is like an appropriate amount
Yeah.
to write. I think everything's great right now. It's like,
I have a very hard time cutting down my sentences.
Can I do that?
Like that
So-
was hard to write that
and
much.
I think that is a positive event because it's like an enlightening event,
A New Hope.
or just like
I'm not trying to quote Star
new
Wars.
information. Like it's not. I would say if it's bad or good, it's good because it's like I don't think it makes anyone feel bad.
Yeah.
That they discovered that. I think
Yeah.
it's more like mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's not like a negative event.
literally mind blowing.
Yeah. Exactly.
You ready to throw down your
Pretty close.
scene?
Is there anything to gather Merrick discovers first contact?
Oh, okay.
It's very vague.
But I feel like
vague is good.
appropriately vague because it's like much stuff they need to flesh out.
Well, it's vague, but also like Shanna really
kind of.
unfolded it well.
Yeah,
And I love. Oh my god, yeah, I loved. That was fun.
I like the whole gatherer concept. I think that's a really interesting idea for like the future of this world.
Yeah, because it also raises the question: how do people view collectors? So collectors meaning the people who collect the dead. Like, are they? I mean, obviously they're not just collecting the physical corpses. Like they're collecting other things. They're collecting
Everything that's
memories.
dead.
They're collecting
Yeah.
And so that leaves me with so many questions. How?
There could be
The dead and the
ones
forgotten
bad
ones.
ones.
Yeah,
It's
right?
making me think of that opening chapter of the Sigil, the Faces of Sigil book. The memory, the person who like just doesn't live
Queda.
doesn't live their life, but they just live like fetishized in other people's memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of the Giver.
Oh.
Well, and especially like if they're putting it into libraries, I feel like because libraries are like so revered and respected in like these basically holy places, and these collectors are putting it into libraries, they're like walking that line between like a Dalit and a priest,
Totally.
and like yes, they're untouchable, but
They're looked down on at the same time.
yeah. Like they're revered, but
Not respected, not necessarily.
revered, but like dirty.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how samurai, like in Rokugan, if you've ever paid attention to like the Legend of the Five Rings universe, but like Rokugan, I can't remember what they're called, but they're the people who touch human, like dead human flesh. So first of all, no samurai can ever do that unless they are in war or battle, because it's just impossible. Blood spurts, blah blah blah. But they're the people who deal with the dead, and they're simultaneously like they're no one fucks with them, but they're also looked insanely down upon. Like they are the lowest of the low of society. So it's just interesting. It raises a lot of those questions of are they like that? Anyway.
And that's where Dalits are in Hindu castes.
Okay.
Like
Got it.
they're the only people that can touch the dead and prepare them for burial, but they're also.
I was trying to think of the phrases to make this thing an event, but it's really like a scene that's more of a.
We'll talk it out.
So I'm imagining through all of this, and I was reading through the cards, and this doesn't like preclude anything, but I'm imagining that like clarifying this level of symbiosis, right, and also adding a cultural element to the dwarven clans through this, in that dwarves are not considered reaching maturity until they have gone through I don't want to name it something like the Quickening or something like that, but I don't think maybe like the Bond, right?
Quickening.
And that, I don't know, like the Highlander.
Something dirty.
Like
Just like in a coming of age sense, I feel like that's something dirty.
well, Quickening, so then you can go through the purification and then and then the DP,
Yeah.
the demonic purification.
Okay.
But like until they experience the bond, which is like connecting with a griffin, at which point they become a pair. Like they are bonded for life
Is
with
it
that
like
griffin. And
the
only
dragon
that
sex
one.
calendar.
Yes, they bond with the griffin.
Are you thinking like Dragon Rider type status, like that kind of bond where it's like they can hear each other's thoughts? Like is that what you mean?
I don't.
Like, what do you mean by bond?
I haven't gone enough in terms of saying like they hear each other's thoughts. Although I think I'm going more with like an innate level of empathy and connection with each other. Maybe not like a distinct like communicating that way. Although I'm
like, I
I'm
feel
certainly open to
like
that.
you feel
I want to leave that open.
Does the dwarf go up to the griffin and say, "Pa,
Yes.
pa"?
And the griffin just goes and the
At
dwarf's
some
under
point.
the paw.
Oh, and then
Griffin.
they fist bump, and then they're good, right?
Yeah.
If they know the secret handshake intuitively, then they're bonded. But no, so like
Please don't say chest
I
bumps.
think we can flesh out, if we want to follow that path, we can flesh out the details of this. But I'm
Right.
imagining that like I really want to focus on like a dwarven coming of age, or maturity, and that connects to a lifelong bond. And that bond is something that is certainly beyond just like a your mind. Like it is like almost it is a magical mycelium symbiotic connection with them that grants them the ability to communicate enough with them or communicate with them perhaps mentally. I'm open to that for sure. And that maybe gives them the edge. That could be how the queen is ultimately chosen, right? Like there is also perhaps some down the line, right? I'm not trying to clarify, but like some griffin that is ultimately like that is how they choose the ruler, that connected when that bond is formed. But I'm just trying to clarify what the symbiotic bond is.
Can I ask a question? Oh, sorry, you can go first.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want this to happen, or are you not sure? Like before, there's this kind of the like reforming and like organizing of the way that things are done.
That's
or
what
like...
I've been going back and forth with, because the question is whether it's been like this since from the start, or this is perhaps a product of the Demon Wars, right? Something like through the culmination of it, this is now how the bond works. And personally, I kind of like it living at the end of all of that, perhaps, but I don't know like what that scene would look like, or what that event would be in terms of like that suddenly creates that shift. And clarifying questions would be fantastic.
So you're not wanting like a scene. I mean, maybe that would entail like
I
scenes, but like
envisioned it as a
that's
scene.
totally like a thing.
I'm now
that you're-
expanding it as an event,
Yeah, okay.
because I've been thinking
Cool.
about it since
Yeah.
then. People are like, no
Cool.
scene. I'm like, okay, so that's
Okay.
trying to
Okay,
think
I have
about
a
this
question.
event-wise, right?
What if this is a coming of age thing for the dwarves, what would it be for the griffins?
Excellent question.
Hashtag Griffin Lives Matter.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like what kind of agency did the griffins have in the relationship?
No, yeah.
Well, I'm imagining this as neither of them really having agency in this bond, right? It's like they.
Copacetic.
I mean, it's an equal bond, right? It's not like a master writer or anything along those lines, right? Like they both see each other. It's the symbiotic element of like they're both gaining things out of it. But I'm seeing it like the sense of like when they meet each other, or when they're both at that moment. It's like the mycelium is bringing them together, right? For some reason, we are connected. I'm not going to make this bond with anybody else. I can't. It's you and I, and we have to figure out our personalities, right? That could lead to interesting stories and scenes down the line, but. I'm seeing them like neither of them having agency in it, frankly.
So
Drink.
Can you hand me your whiskey?
I'm totally picturing that scene
I'll
in
take it to that.
Hercules when he first meets Pegasus and he's a little baby. I know that's not what. I just can't help picturing that.
Pretty close to that.
I'm thinking Gregor the Overlander.
So what were we gonna ask?
I feel like this is gonna be too leading, but
I'll have to listen to you. It's good.
so
Thanks for your whiskey.
yeah. Could this be an event that is explored kind of
Ooh.
in between other events and not necessarily related, like
Yeah, absolutely.
this
I
is,
wasn't
like,
imagining this necessarily.
mini series of like this is how Griffin dwarf bonding works.
I'm also curious about. I mean, I think we all are, but like maybe take this on about what is it that the dwarf needs that the griffin can't live without? What is it that the griffin needs that the dwarf can't live without? Like what it, because you're talking about this bonding, but you're also saying there's something more than a bond. It's like they have to, it's not just like a handshake deal. It's like they need each other.
I
So
kind
I'm
of tried to
wondering
write that in a
what
little bit,
that is.
but I don't know. Like the griffins needed a way to protect themselves because they
Mhm.
were exposed. That's kind of like part, but I don't know what the dwarfs.
I don't think I'm going to
know.
explain that in this one.
You're
Yeah,
asking
okay.
like
That's
specifically
fair.
in this bond, like this very like
Yeah.
personal bond. You're asking.
Well, just like open-endedly, but
Okay.
also specifically, I was asking because I was wondering if that might have been helpful. That might have been a helpful.
Feel good
question
about
for
this?
us.
I feel pretty good about this. I think I got something. It's gonna live at least current the way we have it written at the end of this period. So
This one?
post war. It's gonna be after the conclusion of the war, where the original need, as we see it so far, of the alliance is kind of no longer there. Right, the scourge has been purged.
Scourge is purge.
And now it transitions to this new relationship of like these bonds, and perhaps that leads to, and I'm encapsulating this in this event, that leads to a diminishing of the numbers of dwarven griffin riders, which is perhaps why there's like down the line have faded into more history.
What leads to a diminishing
I
of
see
it?
where you're
The
going.
lack of need for them.
The war. I mean, like what we can explore. I think what the ultimate cause is, but for an unknown reason, post closing of the or a conclusion.
Post war.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave a conclusion post war. We'll see. I mean, we can fill in how the war ends. I want that to be done elsewhere. But like post war, and a conclusion of the immediate need for the pact between the Griffins and
Like
the
the
Dwarves.
eradicating of the demons.
Yeah, exactly. This new form of bond is like that is how the bond creates now or is created. So there's a decrease in the number of dwarven griffin riders. So maybe they do fall to history ultimately, or less prevalent than they were before.
Because can I timeline this out? Like here they found each other, here they fucking need each other, and now
It changes a little bit
you
after
have a
the
new
war.
relationship.
They
A new
don't-
relationship after the war. They're
Like
still
they're
around. I'm not
choosing
saying
to
they
be
go
together
away.
instead of
I'm not
hating
saying
each
they
other.
die.
Right.
Like I'm just saying like this new bond is created, which is perhaps limits their numbers in the long run.
Because
But
their
I'm not-
need, are you saying like their need sort of expired with the demons, and
Yeah.
then they still have a bond, but it's not quite as necessary as it once was. So,
perhaps.
but it's also, but we did talk last week about these, the mycelia and the symbiosis and like the peoples that they affect as evolving throughout time and branching off and like creating new things based on circumstances, because the mycelia don't dictate and neither do their hosts. It's sort of like this, it's the symbiosis of the evolution of whatever happens. So
Yeah, and that's why I had to timeline it out. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I see why you're putting it here. Like, where you're coming from with this event.
is anyone else feeling like God a little bit?
I mean, that's
feel good about
the
this.
whole point.
Yeah.
We're literally.
this
We
is
are
a-
the pantheon right now.
This table is bound.
So you're writing that down, yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna process and chew
This
on
is
it
our
and kind of go from there.
ambrosia well.
Okay. Shanna,
Yes.
do you let me talk to you about the legacy.
Talk to me.
All right.
And theoretically, I could. I mean, I can't because we're not doing scenes and stuff. But theoretically, that when it comes back around to the lens can do another 2 nested ones. But I'm not doing
Can
that.
I ask one more question?
Yeah,
Why
go
do you
for it.
want the bond, or do you want the bond to not be happening during the height of their like need for each other? Like this bond, I'm kind of. Why do you want the bond to happen after? That's what it sounds. I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I'm seeing it as a change in their relationship for some reason, right? Like maybe.
You're not saying there wasn't a bond before. You're just saying it changed.
Yeah, I'm not saying there wasn't some level of bond, but maybe there was a level of choice in the bond before, right? Maybe there was a level of agency between the two of them, but now it's more rare. So I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna write this. I'm writing this, so I'm leaving it open, and that this bond has perhaps happened before, but there's now a limit to the bond. So right, since we haven't talked about a bond before, and I think we can pursue that later. I'm saying like that now. This is going to be a limitation of the bond, where now it happens more rare. Now it's diminishing. A reason of like, and I'm leaving that also open.
To it, it's like hard. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. At the conclusion of the war, this is now like they're finding that this is new, right? And that leads to a reduction in the number of like bonded dwarves and griffins.
Cool.
Okay. Not to beat a dead horse, so to speak, but
dead griffin.
Not to beat a dead griffin, but
Griffins don't die.
there was an easily accessible bond, and now there is a new, less accessible evolution of that bond.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay.
Are you ready for a little legacy
Let's
action?
do it.
Legacies are con threads that may stretch through time and influence history. A legacy can take many forms: an object, a person, a place, a bloodline, an organization, or even a philosophical ideal. You make legacies to identify things you think are interesting and want to keep in the spotlight. Legacies are explored during a special phase of play between one focus and the next, which is you in this case. Because you aren't restricted by a focus during the legacy phase, it is a broad opportunity to explore something that interests you. Just like anything in the history, a legacy can also be brought into play or explored during normal play.
I got it.
So, you are choosing a legacy.
I already know what it is.
So what we're going to do with legacies is that we're going to take a blank.
I know.
Oh my god, is there a reveal?
Yeah, there is a reveal. You're going to write it down in red, and you're gonna basically put it right about where it is. Where it is.
What if it's everywhere though? What if it's throughout time?
And you write legacy ribbon in the shirt. It's just awesome.
Just like
because it is. It's a thread that runs throughout time.
Okay, so let me just say.
Can it just be like?
As long as it's not super vague. So, for example, they say betrayal.
Very solid.
Yeah, betrayal is not a valid legacy because it's a generic concept. Mm-hmm. Betrayal of the sea tribes worked because it's something specific that happened in history. So, that being said, go for it. It sounds like you got something already in mind.
Wait, am I gonna be the last one?
You're gonna be.
When do we open
You're gonna be
this?
the new focus.
When do we open this legacy?
Right, his turn, and then that we do that, and then we shift.
Like we know right now,
yeah,
we talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk about it.
I don't know how to spell things.
Okay.
I can use it.
I'm the last one to be a legacy.
It's okay. Don't worry about spelling.
Well, I worry about it because it's filmed.
And Shannon, you're writing it down so that everyone can see it,
as
and you can stand it up. It's like it's like a little.
Oh, okay, so I can reverse the fold. Got it.
Yeah.
I made this really janky ramp for my kid today out of a shitty box. It's like the worst thing ever, and he just loves it. It's so great. It's just like a shitty box. Like the cars cannot make it off the damn thing without falling, and he just loves it. So nice.
I mean, I feel like kids in cardboard boxes are a natural pairing.
Yeah.
Like cats, yeah.
I just we're on the same wavelength today.
It's the shirt.
It's true.
My friend has this great story. Like a year that her parents were really, they had like no money for Christmas presents, so they just they didn't know what they were gonna do. But so they kept telling the kids, like, don't go down in the basement. You're not allowed to go down in the basement, like, for the next month. And what they'd been doing is just collecting tons and tons of cardboard boxes, and they made like for Christmas morning they just made like a whole city for them to
like
explore.
A maze, like a city maze.
Yeah, like a whole city.
That's so
That's
cool.
an awesome
I know,
Christmas
right?
present. Wow.
That's fucking cool.
I would have, yeah.
I would have lived there as a
I
child.
would have lived there.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I did a virtual version of that with my my nephew at one point when he was really into Minecraft. I was at I think I stayed for Christmas for like a week or two or something like that when he was really into it, and he would spend like a week at his mom's place before coming back. And so he's gonna come back like a day before I left. And I spent like a fuck ton of time just like taking a Minecraft world and just producing this whole fucking thing. Like there was just like hidden mines behind waterfalls, and you could go down and like underground cities, and I built him a bunch of shit, and it's just like I left him the world as a present, and I was like, go explore and like find all of this stuff, and so like create this whole like, little world building for him. Like it was really great for like a 12-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how about, so we'll take a break right now, and when we come back, we'll reveal specifically your thing and specifically the legacy.
We're actually they recommend you take a break right after right before we start the next turn. Actually,
Who's recommending that?
the game
Right.
does.
Okay.
They say take a break so that we can discuss how this whole process went. I'm almost done.
Okay, good. As long as you're almost done.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
And remember, you also have to create an event based on this thing or connected to this thing.
What? You're doing
Yeah, the legacy. Same player creates an event or dictated scene that relates to one of the legacies.
Wait, I'm confused.
So she makes
is
a
the
legacy,
event
and
written
then
in
she
red?
creates an event or scene based upon that legacy. And then it switches turns, and then now you're the new.
What are you doing right now, though?
I'm writing my last event based on this focus.
Oh.
Because it comes back around to me, and I get one last one.
Yeah, the focus
Okay.
has a little bit more story power in terms of the fact that they can create a period and then nestle an event inside that period.
Okay.
And I believe that's what Will's doing. He just chose to do it at the end of his turn.
Okay.
Actually,
You
I
can do
can
that
do it
whenever?
twice. At the beginning of the turn, I can do period event or event scene, and at the end, you can do the same thing. You can do two if you want. I'm just doing one. That's this
That's a
clarification of
lot.
the event.
Oh shit! I need coffee.
Almost done. Just a second.
Don't feel pressure if Shanna still starts an event. Don't feel pressure either.
I'm just trying
saying.
to think of one thing, and I want it to be cool enough.
It doesn't have to be cool. enough.
You
Shanna,
want like a
I
mic
want
drop.
it to be.
I know you want it to be, but you know what? I
No, I like know
I've
what
been
it is.
reading
It's
the-
like
I reread the shit out of this,
Yeah.
and they specifically say
I'll be vague so
it-
that we can
it
figure it out
doesn't.
together.
No, it says it doesn't even have to be like. It doesn't even have to have cool factors because what you think is not cool, someone else might
I
pick
know,
up.
Exactly.
but it also says, because I read the things you sent us this week, that you want to sell people on it. You want to be your own like GM in the
Your
moment.
own hype guy. Yeah.
That's fair.
You know, you
That's
want to
totally
hype
fair.
it up. You want people that like you want to like weave the tale, and that's what I'm trying to do. I want to make it fun.
Right, but you can also just leave that
gotta be
opportunity
fun.
for other people.
It's true. I know, but I mean, you guys are cutting into my moments to be cool.
Yeah, it's
So I
not
love
about
this-
leading.
I've left this pretty open, but I've also labeled this more of a dark period kind of as they're viewing it. But after the conclusion of the demonic purge, it is found that fewer dwarven griffin bonds were formed, fewer every year.
I think that's a good transition to
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
the next period.
also really dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
It's
read that
sad.
again?
It's
Yeah.
sad.
foreboding.
What
We've
is that?
also had a fuck ton of light
You want
this
me to read
round.
it?
I want to be
Yes,
really
please.
clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Don't
so-
shit on the Griffins, all right?
So
They're still around. I'm not saying they ever go away.
So Shanna asked this to be reread. After the conclusion of the demonic purge, it is found that fewer dwarven griffin bonds are formed, fewer every year.
Mm-hmm.
Sad face.
yeah, that should really be the sad face. That's-
We can flip over to happy face, sad face. Light dark. But I also so I underlined bond because I want us to explore what that bond means. I didn't want to define it myself here. Like, I want that to be a collaborative thing.
Yeah, totes.
I believe in you. You got this.
Well,
Okay.
first share your legacy, please.
Okay. Family lineage. Mycelia symbiotic history can be contained in a single totem.
May I make a comment real fast?
Sure.
So I like that as a thing. The focus or the legacy thing is supposed to connect to something that happened during this focus.
Yeah,
So you can do that.
mine.
So how are you gonna write? So how do these
Like
connect
Merrick
then?
found the totem.
Mhm.
That's all.
So to piggyback on what Will said, so the focus this time around was the dwarven clan that actually bonded through the.
Okay, I'll start over. I thought that it was so it has to be based on the original, like the Dwarven clan, the original.
So player to the right of the current lens picks something that appeared during this last focus and makes it a legacy.
So anything. So I think your legacy is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. I'm the first person.
So
but-
I would get more specific and
Yeah.
say like Lilyhammer's
Totem.
That's
totem.
what I'm getting at in the event. But I can change them. I can swap them up. I can make them whatever. That was just going to be like...
The only thing that I see in that, I think it's an awesome legacy. I just think, I do think that you get a little more specific in the legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the legacy doesn't have to have any story to it or anything like that. It just has to be like a thing.
So
So
can
just-
it be like Lilyhammer's
Can I ask you a
family
question?
lineage is contained in a single totem?
Well, how about Lilyhammer's family totem? That's the legacy. Like that's the actual.
Oh, cool. All right.
I have a question. Were you writing it vague like that because you were picturing other family lineages getting a similar thing?
I thought based on what I heard that you were creating a new thing in the game. Like I thought it was more open-ended.
You're definitely creating a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought the new thing was like could be like a more vague idea and not just a single thing. Does that make sense?
I think
'Cause, like,
I think your idea is too vague. Like we need a little more specificity. And since you're basing it off of that, like just saying Lilyhammer's family totem, then we can explore other family totems.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's lots to extrapolate around that.
You were saying earlier when you were reading, you were saying it's something that can be an element that changes how the game is played. It's kind of it sounded like a big deal. Like it's like, oh, and here's a new rule, right? Mm-hmm. So like that was what I thought I was doing with like integrating a new rule. I can make it more, I can like make it more specific, but it's saying the same thing, and then pick a different event to go off of it, or I can like, I don't know.
But I don't feel like your legacy is based off.
But
I think it's too vague for it to be based off what the last focus was.
But it doesn't say it has to be based off focus.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It says it has to be based off something that comes up in that focus.
Yeah, something. You're right. It doesn't. But it's not. Yeah,
Oh,
something that comes up.
okay.
In it,
Which
it's true.
my point is, she's basing it off of her event that she wrote in this focus. So it's still
That's related to the focus.
yeah.
Like it's it's part of the same line.
Yeah.
So I think you're right in that, and that just needs to be reworded in the sense of like the legacy is the family lineage, and then the event is something that's containing like it's this single totem, right? Or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
what
that.
I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Am I not
think you're
doing that?
good. I think
You
yeah.
think you're
I
good?
think you're good.
I think
Okay.
you're good.
I think we
It's
just
just our first time figuring out what the legacy
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to make sure I'm doing it right, but like the way I liked the way you read that because it was like, here's your chance to kind of do a thing,
Create a
right? Like
legacy.
create a thing, like
Right.
create a new rule,
Right.
and it's kind of a fun role.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, I can just make a broad rule, right? Like a broad new rule.
Yeah.
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 Like basically what I see,
Okay.
and I mean maybe this is where you're going or not with your turn, but like on the yes list, right? We've got that lich that we're talking about. Like that could be like ultimately a legacy, right? Like something along those lines. Well, that
So-
Or a focus
so-
even.
you were talking
How
about
did
the
we say when
Not fair.
Lilyhammer is
Yeah, it's on the
gifted?
yes
oh,
list.
so okay,
So, right.
you said, how did you word like the Griffons? Like the Griffons choose her, or
You want me to read it?
Oh, he said the Griffins chose the queen.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
So essentially,
Okay.
like Lilyhammer is gifted a totem from the Griffons. Is the event,
Yeah.
and that totem becomes a thing that maybe is found thousands of years later, or
Cool.
something. You know?
Awesome.
Sweet.
Okay. And I was trying to think of like a moonstone, or like, I don't know, like trying to. That's what I was trying to think to like make cool, but
Does-
it can just be totem.
So the
we'll
question,
figure it out
so
later.
well maybe
It could
not.
be different
It
things
could be a
for different-
sword.
Question
It could
is,
be a-
does it have to be a physical item?
I don't know. We'll figure that out later,
Okay, cool.
right? Open ended.
I like to touch things.
The idea of like mycelium, like it
But-
being contained in the mycelium. Okay.
It is an interesting question though, because it's like it still leaves it open ended. Like, how did Merrick find first contact? You know, like was it on a different plane? Like,
Or
like,
could it be
what was
open-ended? The
Lilyhammer?
totem is what allows him to reach into that part of the mycelium.
Mhm.
Like to find that bright stream that you were talking about. I don't know.
So,
Cool possibilities, people.
yeah.
Wherever that fits. Like
And you
maybe
tell us.
maybe right
You need to tell
maybe
us.
after I would say wait what's in between this and this? What happens here? What's that?
Queen Lilyhammer's granddaughter, Queen
It's
Rosax.
in between those two.
It's in between this, so like that.
Yeah, it's in
I
between
feel like
those
these
two.
3 events are very stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this could happen on her deathbed. This could happen after, you know.
So to speak to what Will was talking about earlier, so at this point in the game, they encourage us to sort of like it's round 1 is done kind of deal, and we talk about how the game's going up till now, and for reasons that I'll get into later, I want to take the break now and talk about that afterwards. So we're gonna actually start talking about that in the beginning of next round.
So don't talk to one another during the break.
Don't talk outside.
I know that's hard. I know that's difficult, but I will explain why in a little bit.
Can you give us approved topics, please, Bill?
Actually, they specifically say don't talk about the future. Like they talk about like in their definition of what we're eventually going to do. They say before you start the next focus, take a break, talk about how the game is going, but don't discuss what you want to have happen later. Keep your ideas to yourself.
I think
So-
you meant just like, can we talk about like?
I was just joking. I was like, can you give us
foods or-
topics to
yeah.
talk about outside? I was just being cheeky.
The weather, local sports teams.
Yeah.
The thorns
I
are
put
dope,
nerds in
alright?
sports
The
teams,
thorns are
guys.
dope.
Sports ball freaks me out.
The thorns are dope. You should check out some games.
Thorns. I don't even know what that is. Sports.
That's
but-
the women's soccer team.